Hello and welcome to tonight's training video. Tonight we're going to be looking at SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is all about your competitive position in the marketplace. And it's a tool that's used for strategic planning, and before making decisions, you can use a SWOT analysis on yourself, on your competitors, on a piece of equipment, or on an individual. It's a really useful tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to discuss what's involved in doing one. What's good about them is they can be done really, really quickly. With a bit of practice, involve other people, you can compare situations and start to discuss where you are right now and where you'd like to go. SWOT, spelled S-W-O-T, stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I'll say that again. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What a lot of people do if they do a SWOT analysis is they split into quarters. They put the S in the top right-hand corner, they put W. In the bottom left-hand corner, they put O. And in the bottom right-hand corner, they put T. And then they fill in the box. That's how they perform a SWOT analysis. So you end up with a box that looks a bit like that. Strengths and weaknesses, so the top part of the box, is the internal factors. The internal factors. So when we look at the bottom, opportunities and threats, they're the external factors. And we'll have a look at them separately in a second. And we can apply another acronym, as if there isn't enough, to the external factors. And there are a couple of different ones. The one I tend to use is called STEEP. What we're going to look at is when we do the internal audit of a piece of equipment, your own business, a competitor, an individual, where we start is the internal. And we look at the strengths. So the strengths are your competitive advantage. It's what you or they do better than everyone else. That is really what the strengths is about. It's your competitive advantage. So examples are the brand. Is it a strong brand? Do they have a lot of intellectual property? What about their infrastructure? Do they have the right equipment and apparatus to carry out the work that they do? Do they have a cost advantage? Do they have a skilled workforce? And also, what is their financial position? What are the financial resources available to them? They're the sort of things that are internal strengths. Now, a lot of things that can be strengths can also be weaknesses, or the flip of the coin, if you like. So you could have a negative brand. Things can change. That's why you need to do these fairly regularly. So you could have an internal weakness because you could be having rising costs. You could have a low-skilled workforce or a lack of financial resources. So they're internal things that affect your competitive advantage. So that's what the strengths and weaknesses, they're internal. So when it comes to looking at the external, the opportunities and the threats of whatever it is you're looking at, there's another acronym. I use STEEP, S-T-E-E-P, and that stands for social, technological, economic, environmental, and political. So STEEP, S-T-E-E-P, social, technological, economic, environmental, and political. And they're the way of looking at the external factors. An example in terms of the opportunities could be there may be a new technology, an emerging technology that may be an opportunity for your business. There might be a change in legislation or policy that could be both national, local, or even international that you can take advantage of. There also could be a customer trend or a demographic, which comes under the social bit, that means that your business could take advantage of. So in the threats column, it's very much the same. If you like, the same opportunities can present as threats, depending on whether they're to your advantage or disadvantage. So it could be new competitors or existing competitors entering your market space. So you might be the only MOT in your village, but the garage up the road is about to open an MOT station. As an example, of an external threat. There's nothing you can do about it. They are expanding their business and they're adding an MOT station. So that's an existing competitor and that's a threat. Once again, legislation or policy, both national, local or international, can be a threat. Any new technology that may be replacing or making your existing technology redundant is a threat. And one that's often missed out because it doesn't really come under the steep, but it comes under the steeple, which is legal, and that's any pending lawsuits. There's nothing you can do about them. They're not an internal problem, they're an external problem. So that's how you put together, that's the sort of things that go in these boxes. They're the things you have to consider. And like I say, once you get used to doing these, they can be done very, very quickly. They're a very, very quick and very visual way of analyzing it. They're good to do in team meetings. If you've got a business partner or somebody else who helps you with decision making when you're doing stuff like this, say you're looking to employ someone, you've got 2 or 3 candidates, do a SWOT analysis on each one and see where they come out. It's a fair way. Everyone's compared against the same criteria, and you can get a decent decision or help with the decision-making process. So to flesh this out, to make it make some sense to you, what I thought I'd do was I'd do a SWOT analysis on Tesla. So I've done a SWOT analysis on Tesla. And there it is, filled in. It took me about 15 minutes, if that. We start with the internal factors, strengths and weaknesses. We'll start with strengths. So I think Tesla's biggest strength, their competitive advantage, is their brand. Yeah. Everything they do is on brand. They're the most well-known electrical vehicle manufacturer. If you ask someone to name an electric vehicle, Tesla's probably going to be right at the top there. Yeah. That brand is bang on purpose with their vision and values. The values of that brand, everyone knows what Tesla is about. Yeah. I would say their second biggest strength is the CEO, is Elon Musk himself. Yeah. As a leader, yeah, he is very well known. And I think people who he's created a loyal band of followers that even if they can't afford his products, he's a very charismatic character and he's in the press a lot. He keeps the brand at the forefront, just himself. I think he's a brand in himself, but he keeps that Tesla brand at the forefront of everyone's mind. When if you think electric cars, you think about electric cars being in the news, he's never far away from the story. Another strength of theirs is they started to look at different technologies within the Tesla brand. So they've got their gigafactories. So they're starting now their own battery production. So they probably looked at this themselves. At some point, they've done some sort of SWOT analysis and looked at procurement of batteries being a threat, an external threat to them. And they've turned that into a strength by, we'll just make our own and we'll do our own factories. They also have a competitive advantage that's a strength, it's an internal strength to them in the autonomous technology space. They have got a head start on everyone else in that space. They're collecting loads and loads of data all the time from their vehicles, on their autonomous driving technology, and their charging network. That's what I come up with as strengths for Tesla. So they're all internal things that I feel that position Tesla in the marketplace. They're all their strengths. So weaknesses. So production problems I came up with. When they've moved from a quality product to a quantity product, they've had some hiccups. The quality's definitely dropped. I think it could potentially damage the brand long term. They've started building these really high-tech factories of all this automation. They actually came out and said, look, we went too automated. We need to get some more human input and work on the problem. They're not an established vehicle manufacturer. So weakness from internal to me then to this is they are a disruptor of the space. And so that's a potential problem. And as a disruptor, what they believe in is open source patents. So they basically made all of their patents available. Yeah. And that could be a problem. But I think they're One of their other weaknesses is the valuation of the company. It's just been valued at $1 trillion of valuation. And that's based on potentially the future market. So selling more and more electric vehicles. So external factors then. And if you think about the steep model in this, you'll start to see where they fit in. So opportunities. You've got the net zero. The Paris Agreement means that many countries are banning internal combustion engines. And most countries have accepted that they will ban them by 2040. So they've also transitioned the Tesla brand. It's not about electric vehicles. They are an energy technology and sustainability company that just happens to make cars. One of their energy technology and sustainability solutions is electric cars. So the growth of the brand, it's not just about the cars. They are very much about renewables, and they're very much in that space. So that's potentially an opportunity for them. And if they can fix their production problems, the economies of scale to take mass production as the transition into electric vehicles goes forward, they're in a very good position to take advantage of that. And also the economies of scope, because all of the stuff they do at the moment could be used in other areas, especially the gigafactories for power walls, etc., etc. They could take their existing IP, and people want more storage. They've already got solutions. Threats. What happens if the transition to electric vehicles doesn't take off? What happens if policy changes? What happens if legislation is relaxed? That could be a massive threat to Tesla. I think their biggest threat, though, will come from their competition. And that is the existing car manufacturers are not going to roll over and let Tesla take their market share as they have been doing so far. And I think they will close the gap on Tesla with both in the quality of their electric vehicle offering and their marketing, etc. And then as the rollout of electric vehicles continues, will the incentives be removed? So will the price of electric vehicle become prohibitive once incentives are removed and tax incentives are removed and duties put back on the electricity we use for mobility in the same way as we have duty on fuel, petrol and diesel now. So that goes to show you how you can quickly put together a SWOT analysis on a competitor. Not that Tesla are a competitor of mine, obviously, but it just goes to show that it can be done relatively quickly and how you can lay out where you are, and you can look at, then you have a visual representation, and you can start to look at, right, so if they did that on your business, you can work on your strengths because everyone likes doing that, but it's far more importantly to work on your weaknesses. And they're the internal factors, the stuff that you can influence. But you have to be aware of the externals, the stuff that you don't influence, that you can't have any control of, and how they may impact on you, which allows you to take steps to pivot and change and have a plan B or a plan C from your plan A. I hope this Traded on SWOT analysis was of some interest, and that doing a SWOT analysis on your business today or on your competitors may be very advantageous in the near future. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next time.